She doesn't even go here!
I'm bi, actually.
Excuse me. Could the ugly, untalented gays please report to the principal's office?
Hi, I'm Kurt Homo, and I'll be auditioning for the role of kicker.
Hello! Welcome in, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode of Not So Straight Nerds. I'm your host, Luke.
And I'm your host, Alicia.
And today, we are talking about One Night Only.
Movie of the year.
Whew.
We actually, I feel like, never say that about actual, like, movies of the year.
No,
we
we
only
don't.
ever reserve it for not great movies. We'll put it at that.
Fair.
Yeah.
Because I feel like we
Anyways.
have typically other expletives to
Yeah.
announce on movies that are good.
Mm-hmm.
So, this is maybe most infamously for us your last draft pick of the summer movie draft that we do.
You know, it's always that last draft pick. For mine specifically, is always bad. I had Smurfs, our first summer movie draft. Don't even ask. And then yes, the 2025 one. Anyways, and then I had, what is it, Regretting You? Or yeah, Regretting You. And this year I had One Night Only. And I will say, out of those, I'd have to pick between this and Regretting You. It's definitely not Smurfs. I can tell you, it's not my worst draft pick. Probably not. No, not by scores either. But we'll get to that. Anyways.
Yeah, so we're going to be talking this movie. I don't know if there's a ton to lead into this conversation with.
You know, we could talk about kind of the general conversation around this movie before it came out.
Sure. Yeah, go for it.
Basically, I think, you know, when this trailer came out, I was actually kind of excited just because I like these two actors that were in the lead roles. I think they're both very talented, and it was fun to see them in a cute little rom-com. I thought they had good chemistry in the trailer. And you know what? Honestly, I really didn't think too hard about the fact that they were living in a society that could only have sex, where single people could only have sex for one night a year. I didn't really think too hard on that. And any, like, minimal comments I saw about this being, like, The Purge, but, like, rom-com, I just giggled. I thought it was funny. I didn't really think too much of it. And now I feel, and then that's kind of all I had going into draft picks. And I picked this one because I was really hoping it would be good. I feel like that's always my last one. It's not necessarily, like, my last one's always like I hope this one does good. And then it never does. So I need to stop doing that. It's a pattern every time where I'm like, I could do this, or I could do this one. And I always pick the worst one. I need to look back and see what my other pick was that I didn't choose over this one. Anyways. But then, like, maybe a month ago, maybe not even, people started talking about this movie more and more because it was about to come out soon. And everyone was like, this is crazy. I have so many questions. This is such a stupid concept. There's no way you can romanticize something about this. Like, so many complaints. And I was like, oh no. This is not good for me in my draft pick. I don't know. And I don't disagree with them. But I guess I just didn't think too hard on it. And then everyone else started to. And I was like, oh.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you're so right about that. Anyways, but then the conversation started to slightly shift to be like, you know what? I have to see this movie just because I'm so dang curious on what it's gonna look like. And I was like, I'll take it. I'll take a potential hate watch, you know, because a watch is a watch. Money is money. So, yeah. Y'all remember that Velma show that everyone said was so bad? I never watched it, but so many people watched it that. Didn't it get renewed?
They got a second season, yeah.
Yeah. You just don't watch things you think are bad. But in this case, I think at least people could have an interesting time. As did we.
Indeed.
Yeah. Is there anything else on your end that you saw?
A lot of that I think this movie coming out at the same time as I Want Your Sex, they're like antithesis to each other in very interesting ways.
Yeah.
But it's giving. I kind of got the vibe in the last like month or so, and a lot of other people were picking up on it, that it's giving the, gosh, if straight sex was illegal, how would we be?
Yeah.
And it's like, it's an interesting trend to see right now with certain groups kind of pretending to be prejudiced against systematically. And it's like, okay, if that's what you want to coat your movie around.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have rightfully pointed out that this concept, I mean, it's not great anytime, but it's definitely not great in this political climate. They're like, it's just ill-timed, I think, more than anything else, where a lot of people don't care to see a movie about a world where, you know, straight sex is illegal. And it's like, I don't know, who wants to watch that, especially if they're not going to like fight against it, and they probably aren't, because it's a rom-com, so people weren't expecting that to happen. They were expecting it to be romanticized, and can't say they're wrong. But yeah, I just think, you know, if nothing else, it was ill-timed, and we have thoughts about if the concept was even needed at all in the movie.
Surely.
So
At that point, it's probably a good point to say we are talking spoilers for this movie, so we're talking all the way through it. It's in theaters right now, so you can see it before we start talking about it. But you know, I think we'll leave it to you to decide if you really feel the need to.
yep.
And that being said, overall thoughts. Where's this land on the scale for you?
Listen, I expected to go into this. I thought I was gonna like it more than critics. Critics, a 50%, I would say, is probably like a 2.5 out of 5. You know, 50%. Anyways, so I was expecting to give this a 2.5 to 3 stars, and I did not. I gave this 2 stars, and even then, I was actually debating doing it lower, but everyone else did 2 or 2.5 stars. I was like, okay, I'm the one who believed in this, so I feel like I should give it 2 stars. I was stuck in between anyways, so I was like, okay, I'll round up a little bit. But no, it just was kind of bizarre. The elements I thought I would like, I did, which was the 2 main actors and their chemistry. I personally never had a problem with their chemistry. Now, obviously, like, I agree with you that you said something that the person who put the trailer together, first of all, should get a raise.
Yes.
Props to them.
This is on the same level as like Venom Let There Be Carnage, where it's like,
Yes.
where did you literally went through with a scalpel and pulled every ounce of sauce out of this thing?
Yes. Same thing with this trailer, and you said that they pulled every scene that they had really good chemistry from, and everything else was pale in comparison. And I do agree with that. I think maybe not so aggressively. Like, it was fine chemistry other scenes, but I do think I agree with that they found their best scenes here for the trailer. So it didn't wow me. It didn't carry the movie. I think it made it watchable, as well as just everything that was happening was so bizarre that it's almost at times like a car crash. You just like can't look away. So you know what? I was entertained. I wasn't bored.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know what?
I don't know.
Maybe the best thing I can say to this, beyond its main 2 actors, I think are still good actors,
Yeah.
is this movie is watchable.
I agree.
You can watch it, and you know, that's the thing you can do.
I would even say be entertained.
Sure.
What kind of entertainment?
Watch
I
it,
don't
not be
know.
bored. Sure.
Exactly.
Surely.
Exactly. It would make for interesting time. I think it would make for a very fun, like, hangout night kind of movie where you can all just kind of collectively laugh and make fun of it and have a good discussion afterwards. I actually think it would be a great movie for that. Again, it's not going to be a high-rated movie probably, but it will make for an interesting conversation community aspect. So, yeah, and then there were people that had seen it that posted a lot of answers to questions that people had. And it was still one thing that was brought up that was not brought up whatsoever in the trailer were the tattoos. Because everyone was like, okay, how are they even policing this? Like, how on earth are they tracking this? Kind of what are the limits to that? And I think they didn't, correct me if I'm wrong, but they said, I believe when they're 18, they get a tattoo.
Yes.
Except they were saying that in the film that it's helped lower teen pregnancy rates, which is often...
How would that do?
I know.
That's a great point.
I literally just now in this moment thought about that. Which, of course, that was supposed to read as a lazy excuse anyways, because that's kind of a lazy excuse that real politicians use to defend certain choices about policing women's bodies. So no surprise there. Not going to really count that against the movie, because, again, it's probably supposed to be a lazy excuse. But just something I thought about. I was like, I just, in that case, I guess I wish a character pointed that out at some point,
I think there's a lot that's missing fear from... Like, I think there's nothing inherently wrong with the concept if you have your characters react appropriately to it.
Yeah.
And here in this movie, there's such an effort to show, like, there's a resistance or a political movement against the... What's it called? The
mandate.
The mandate. But then, like, every single character who's against the mandate ends up saying at some point, like, man, the mandate sucks, but, like, at least it gives us this night, so I don't know, maybe there is something to it. And it's like, what a time to be painting fascism in a light like this.
Yeah, exactly. I think, it would have been pretty bad regardless, but especially in this time, it's just very, very ill-timed. Yeah. And there's posters everywhere in the backgrounds about, fighting against the mandate, resist, like all these, like you're supposed to notice it at some point that a lot of people don't like this mandate. But when, like you said, none of your characters ever actually verbally, like, really have a deep conversation. I think the farthest it ever goes is having some musician start and he didn't even start it. He just, like, I guess elevated it, like fuck the mandate chant. One of his audience members started it, and then he just, like, had a microphone, so amplified it, I guess. But then, he's supposed to be a very shallow character, so that doesn't really mean anything. We're never actually having conversations about how horrible this is as, like, a movement.
Truly. It's giving a lot of, what was that other movement? Mercy, where the whole thing is the AI, like, trial. Yeah. And then at the very end, after almost dying at its hands, Chris Pratt's character's like, hey, it's okay. AI can make mistakes sometimes. It's that. So gross. It's giving that.
So gross, especially in this climate. It's just horrible. Yeah. I don't know. It wasn't great. It wasn't a great concept, and it wasn't executed well. It was a lot of people's fears came true. The tattoo thing, okay, they might have answered how they police it, which is still a little bit of a bizarre thing in a rom-com. It's kind of like a fantasy type element of it literally turning different colors and, like, I don't know, a little too fantasy or sci-fi-esque for a rom-com.
I agree. And it's so weird. There's the whole in their exposition drop, they have the Fox News person, not Fox News, but Fox News.
That was supposed to be, yeah.
Talking about how great the mandate is, how it was unanimously passed by Congress to bring back the sanctity of marriage. And I think you don't get to play a half politics card on here. The sanctity of marriage thing, that has been historically known to be used as a way to fight LGBT rights. And I don't care how many gay couples you have in your background here. They would not be, like, alive in this timeline. And I think it is negligent to presume otherwise.
After the line in Heartstopper Forever, where it says, we've never asked permission to exist. It's just so almost like a slap in the face what they're trying to do in this movie and what they're trying to say. It was funny to see the tweet before we saw the movie where they're like, and gay people have found a way around it. Okay, period. And then in the movie, it's like, oh, that's not hitting like I think they thought it would.
It's a throwaway line where
Yeah.
but it's like she's saying that we've always found a way through this, but like you're being way too calm.
Nonchalant about
Yeah.
it. Absolutely. It's just, again, bad timing to have something that hits so well and then this. And it's like, nope, you're not doing the same thing. It's not empowering whatsoever.
Insane.
I know.
Maybe if we might change gears a little bit, maybe on the brighter side of this movie, let's talk our main characters.
Sure. It's Owen and Allie
Yes.
are our main characters. That's hard to say. And one of the other questions that I had was, I feel like they're scrambling to find someone in this movie, and in like the trailer, and in the trailer I was like, okay, but if this has been a thing for a few years, like, wouldn't you, like, I don't know, date somebody for a couple weeks, to like try to find someone before the actual night of? It's not even a whole night, it's 12 hours, or I guess not a whole day. For some reason I don't know why, because it says one night only, but I don't know. It's like, oh, you have even less. You only have 12 hours. That's crazy. I feel like I was wondering why they were both scrambling. I do feel like, especially on the guy's end, that it explains it very well, because he has a girlfriend that he's had for years, that basically all but breaks up with him on that night, which I'm sorry, I'd have to kill her. That's insane to choose to do it that night of all
Yes.
nights.
And we'll circle back to her.
Yes, as a character later. Oh, Maya Hawk, you were doing charity work here. Anyways, yeah, so of course he's scrambling because she tells him like pretty much right before it starts. So yeah, he's scrambling. However, and then the girl, she's planning on just going out with her friend, and then she gets ditched. So then she's like, oh my God, there's now pressure, and now she's scrambling. Okay, fine. That's fine. That's fine explanation. However, then they both panic to find a condom. And it's like, especially with the guy, were you not planning on doing anything with your girlfriend that night? Because it's not, obviously they're together. Some couples choose not to use them. But like this night, if you're single, they said you have to use one. Again, don't know how they police that. But, and they never answer that. But that's what they say, is you have to use one. So it's like, were you not planning on doing anything tonight? Obviously, we saw the ring. He was planning on proposing. But, like, when you also, I don't know. Maybe not, but he never answers that question. So it's just very odd. And then the girl, too, I'm like, I don't know. Why would you not bring one just in case? Does your friend have one? And then why does nobody in this city have one? Nobody that either main character tries to get with ever has one. And it's insane.
And
it's like, why wouldn't you keep a stash of them?
And then there's an interesting line I think it tries to ride poorly where it's like, okay, so either they're out of stock in this city and there's one condom left in this whole city, but then if that is the case, they are not the only ones in these stores looking for condoms.
No.
What?
That's crazy. I'm like, wouldn't you like buy a box beforehand? How does everyone? I don't know. I don't
It's
know.
weird.
And nobody has one. Not a single person that they ever interact with. So, very bizarre, and it sends them on a wild goose chase that is entertaining to watch, but just confusing in why it exists.
I think that's where a lot of the comedy kind of stems from. This movie really asks you to suspend your disbelief beyond the general principle at play here.
Yeah.
But it just has very big lapse in logic without really giving a purpose to it other than for the movie's sake, which I don't know. It's all just a little more distracting than artfully done.
Yeah. There's also just, I'm trying to remember, I feel like I've blocked them out. But there were a lot of I thought, distasteful jokes here that I
Yes.
think were supposed to land very well. Can you remember any of them? And maybe that'll start my
There
brain
was
a little bit.
their Dora's exploring, looking for their Diego.
Yes. Oh my gosh. There's a scene where Owen's at a bar talking to the bartender, and she says, well, all these people are just Doras trying to find their Diego. So many things wrong with that. She says that genuinely, not as a joke. Not that the joke would be funny, but genuinely has no idea what would be wrong with that. He's like, they were cousins. And I'm like, no. They're also children. Let's also point that out. And he kind of does. He's like, okay, maybe with this character, but like in college. I'm like, okay. Let's just take that out. Scratch it. Do something else. Write something else.
No, say something else.
No, exactly. Especially after that made me think of this show Adults. I feel like they ride that line between like offensive and funny really well. Same thing, I saw a recent TikTok of a person talking about comedians often like making offensive jokes and then getting mad when their audience doesn't laugh. And they brought up Ashby on TikTok, how she usually rides that line very well as well. And then I think one time when she made a joke that a few people didn't like, she like responded and was saying like, I'm sorry, it's like a work in progress, like was not intending for that to come off that way, whatever. And she was taking accountability for that. So it's it can happen. You can do it well, where you can do something like close to that line, but it's still funny and it still hits well. And they did not do that. So, again, it's just like we watch a lot of stuff. So there's a lot of stuff we can compare this to. And it's not a good comparison for them.
For
So.
sure. The only other major one I can think of was way to drop P. Diddy. Name drop
Yes.
P. Diddy in your movie.
No, I remember the other one. No, yeah. Just bringing up his name is gross. Kind of like, I think when the Scary Movie did the Epstein Files, I was like, maybe let's not do that right now. It's too fresh, and nothing has even slightly happened with that, so maybe let's not bring that up in any sort of potential joke context. And then they also, after having a clear parody of who is supposed to be like a Republican, they have one of the main ensemble cast members blame the mandate on Obama. She goes,
Yes.
Thanks, Obama. And I'm like, what? Now, again, she's not a likable character anyways. But again, it's just, you're not funny. It's not a funny joke. It's not coming off, like, this character is crazy for saying this. Like, it's just not hitting the way you think it is.
It's like, because your characters aren't reacting to these things as if they're insane, it just comes off weird every time.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably like at least 60% of the humor of this movie.
Yeah. Well, I also just got kind of sidetracked a little bit, but with that character who said that about Obama, she does a lot of bizarre things in this movie.
And might I remind you, her name is Malika.
What? I've never heard that name in my life. I'm so sorry to the
To all
Malikas
the
out there.
Malikas out
I'm really
there,
sorry.
I'm so sorry. But your name sounds like it was made up on the spot.
Well, not even that. I just feel like it didn't fit her face.
Sure.
Like some names just don't. They sound made up because you don't look like a Malika. I'm sure y'all do. Malika's out there. She did not look like one, and so it was very bizarre to hear that come out of a human's mouth. I'm like, no, that's just simply not your name. Anyways, small thing, but yes, I agree. We both in the theater were like, what? Anyways, so she's the girlfriend that kind of, in a way, breaks up with Owen. Not really. She goes, I want to sleep with someone else tonight. again, that's also just suggesting that they were gonna sleep together. So it's like, did she have the condoms? He didn't have any. What's the vibe here? Then, he takes that appropriately, and he's like, "What?" And then she's like, "Oh, by the way, I'll also need the apartment tonight," even though the guy she's sleeping with also lives in their building and has his own place in the building. He rightfully is like, "What?" He has a place there. And then he lets her have it. I would not be that nice. I'd be like, absolutely not. You are not going to be in our place having sex with somebody else. Absolutely not. Anywhere else, don't care. Yeah, especially when it's established that everyone just kind of does it wherever that night, and like it's not that big of a deal to doing it in a certain place. Clearly, no one really cares. That's bizarre. He was just way too nice to her in that entire movie. And then they come back together because she calls him later in the movie, says, "I didn't go through with it."
At
okay,
night
10
when you
hours
left.
in? Yeah.
That's
I
already.
don't believe you.
What are you talking? Then what have you been doing all
Exactly.
day?
And that's never explained. It's never maybe suggested that something went wrong. It's never suggested that, like, whatsoever what she could be doing in all that time. It's been like 10 hours at that point. 9-ish, 10 hours. And now you're calling saying you didn't. Okay. Don't believe you. He believes her for some reason. Goes after her. Whatever. And then they almost have sex, but he's thinking about Allie, and so he's about to leave, and she's like, "Did I do something wrong?" He goes, "No, but I think I did." This guy's being way too nice to her the entire movie, and it's kind of killing me. I don't understand.
It's bizarre.
I get he's a nice guy. Okay, they say that, and they try to make that a bit, and it doesn't come off funny either. Another bit that doesn't land.
Although you know it didn't land.
Okay. Yes. Well, go ahead.
There's that part where there's the girl crying in the bar when he gets there, and then as he's leaving, he like slides over a glass of water and he's like, "Drink this." And then as he walks away, she's like, "And now I'm getting roofied." And at first I was like,
No, that was
what
good.
a creepy thing to do in a bar
Yeah.
and not realize it. And then she says that line out loud, and I'm like, okay, this is probably the funniest moment of the movie.
Yeah, actually. Oh my gosh. But the nice guy bits never land for me. Cause if you ever, it's like guys who call themselves golden retrievers. Like, shut up. I can't take that seriously. I'm like, you're not a nice guy if you say it. You're not a golden retriever if you say it. And it gives everybody the ick. So, anyways, he goes, "I'm not a nice guy." And I'm like, I'm ready to leave right now. I was literally rolling my eyes. It's just so bizarre. Yeah. I don't know. I don't have any. I guess we could talk about the guitarist guy,
Yes. And what is his name?
Charlie Gillespie, I believe. Because he just got cast in Heated Rivalry Season 2.
Yes.
Which is something that happened and exists. And that's all I'll say on that. But he is also from Julie and the Phantoms.
Yes. And then he was also this year in the comedy Splitsville. Or was that last year? I think it was last year.
Last year. Yeah. I think I remember that. Saw something last year. Anyways. I'm glad he's getting work because I love Julie and the Phantoms. I wish more people from that show would get work. I think the blonde one, forgot all their names at this point from Julie and the Phantoms, but I think the blonde one also got work somewhere.
Oh yeah, he was in the Final Destination movie.
Yes, thank you. I wish actually the title character Julie would get work, but Hollywood. But I'm happy for him at least because I thought he was also good in that show. That he's getting work. But here, he's in this movie as a singer that Allie's character is obsessed with. It's kind of I would say probably a last minute addition. I felt like they just brought him up like right before that, and then they find out he's gonna be at this party. I felt like they had planted a couple like cute, basic but cute scenes. Like the lighthouse thing, I felt like they brought that up an appropriate amount of time for the audience to still remember. I'm sure they're going to bring the lighthouse thing back up, and they did. The band member thing, I thought they brought up a little too last minute, but whatever, nitpicky things. And then they get to the thing, have drama to get in, but eventually they both get in. And Allie and him click. They go back to potentially have sex. And he's a freaking weirdo. It's crazy. There were, I felt bad. There was us two, and there was two other people that were like across from us on the same like aisle, but like there was an empty aisle. Anyways, there were two other people in the theater, and I felt bad because I couldn't really tell if we were supposed to be laughing. I thought we were, but it was just one of those bizarre moments where I'm like, this has to be a bit, right? And I couldn't stop laughing, and they kept looking over, and I was like, no, I'm sorry. I literally at some point put both of my hands over my mouth to show them I'm trying, but this is so weird. I can't. There was one like quiet moment where I just like it was really loud. Anyways, I can't tell if I did hate that scene in the moment, but I can't tell if now I'm like that was funny.
I think the song bit, once you realize, the moment he does the not a duet, that's where I'm like, okay, it's okay to laugh.
Yeah.
Not who did what artist did that at a concert? The shh.
Oh, was it? Oh my god, I think it was Lord. Yes.
That's hilarious. Every time I see someone do that, I'm gonna think of Lord, and I'm gonna be like, and that happened in real life.
Oh my gosh.
I
love and hate that. I also love and hate that video in equal amounts. So there you go.
Dude, there's something about the audacity of someone doing that. And I think that it's just... that might just be the feeling that will always induce.
Mm-hmm. It's just such like secondhand embarrassment. But at least in this moment, it wasn't real. So, but yeah. No, afterwards, I will say I feel like he killed that. He did what he was supposed to do, which made it a very awkward and hard to watch scene. And then he gets on the piano and everyone's just like, oh no. And then he freaking falls off. I don't know how they did that fall. Like what stunt person did that, but like props to you. That looked so funny. And then he was all, la.
No, I think
No,
he's
that
so
was
funny.
great.
Did you ever see Splitsville?
I don't think so.
I think it's on like Hulu Disney Plus right now.
It
He's in it,
sounds
and it's
familiar,
really
though.
funny.
Okay.
The premise is, this couple goes on a break, but they stay living in the same house, and she's like dating a lot of people, but then her ex-boyfriend is like becoming friends with all of her exes, is inviting them to stay with them, so they just keep building up a lot of people in the house,
Oh my
and he's the
gosh.
first one, and it's really funny.
That's funny.
Good
for him.
Yeah, he's funny. I'm glad he's continuing to get work, but
Yeah.
I don't know. His character outside of that scene feels very much like Malika. It's like this character doesn't feel super grounded in any way.
Doesn't feel real.
It's bizarre.
No, it's not. He did his best in that scene, and he did in fact shine, but he was not given really anything else.
Maya Hawke took a bullet for any other actress that was thinking of taking that role. Because I think if you had an unnamed actress take this role, I think your career is down.
This is one of those, like, you don't
This,
put on
I
your
think-
resume.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the biker guy was also somewhat important for a little bit. Never really cared for him either. That was another scene where he started singing, and I thought we were supposed to laugh. And then we were not, and then they started singing
That
together.
one I'll agree was a little weird. He like comes in and you can't tell how she feels about it either.
Yes, I thought she was gonna like hate when he started singing, and so I was like kind of laughing. And then she started singing too, and I was like, oh, she likes this. Okay, I misread that one.
Leaves her purse unattended in a New York bar. Huh? And you live here? Huh?
Crazy. No, that was a crazy choice.
And then someone goes through your purse and just takes the condoms. Your wallet and phone are there. Huh?
I can believe that in this bizarre universe,
Uh,
but it's so silly.
I don't know. I guess if condoms are all that's taken from you, all the better, but
Well, not on that night. I know. That I also agree. That was bizarre. And then same with when Owen meets that one girl in the park and he's heading towards a tree. Okay, you're a man. I could believe you have zero survival instincts. Any woman would not even have gone close to that tree. But anyways, you're a man, so of course you go into the tree like a crazy person. But then you allow yourself to get zip tied. And I'm like, no, that's on you. As just a human being, you need to have enough survival instincts for that. You don't know this person, and she's doing this inside of a tree. That's on him.
Yeah.
At that point, I was like, you go, girl. And then she starts calling someone else, and I thought that was really funny.
the thing I think about these two characters is I think whenever Allie is alone, I think she continues to, like, behave like a human. But Owen on his own, he, like, acts like an incel loser.
He does. I was kind of also thinking that, where I feel like at times I didn't like him. Even when they were together sometimes, I don't know. I always really liked her, but I never really cared for him. Oh my gosh, speaking of another bit that didn't work, the kid that her roommate's babysitting, that just was very inappropriate every time they were on screen. Never funny. Not a single line or joke was ever funny. Not even close to a giggle from me. It's just, again, when you're having a child, like, you have to just be careful and ride that line. So an example of a child being, like, vulgar and it's funny is, like, the Good Boys movie. I love that movie. It's very funny. And then also Walker Scobell. I don't know if I'm saying his last name right, but the guy who plays Percy Jackson now. Anytime he had that movie with Ryan Reynolds and they would do, like, little press tours and he would, like, recreate the Deadpool lines, the mac and cheese commercial, all that was written very well and was very funny. But not here. Not here. It just felt very weird every time it was on screen, and I'm so sorry to that person.
Very odd.
Yeah. You know, you started off a section being like, let's talk about more positive things, and we definitely didn't do
That was a hot second ago.
Yeah. So sorry. But there's just not a lot of great things to say. I feel like we touched on everything that was great. The chemistry was good at times, and it was fine other times. Ooh, I'm about to also say another thing that was bad. First of all, I feel like I need to go back and rewatch A Complete Unknown, because I remember her being able to sing in that movie. And then her, like, opening scene here is her singing that, like, psoriasis commercial. And we were both looking at each other like, this is pretty bad, right?
No,
know.
it's not until she's about to hit the note where she says, it's really hard to hit this note when you're singing the word psoriasis. And then she sings it over and over again because she's not hitting the note.
I don't know. It felt to me that she was hitting those notes, but it felt very strained and forced, like a very unhealthy way of singing. Like, maybe she's hitting these notes, but she doesn't sound like a singer who has had vocal lessons to not strain her voice. It sounds like she's belting these notes like an average person would belt these notes, and not someone who would be a singer and do this often, or be on Broadway and sing something every night and it be sustainable. That's what it sounded like to me. I'll give her, she sounded good in the bar scene when she sang in front of people for the first time. I thought she sounded good. And then I actually did kind of find it funny a little bit. It was very bizarre, but I think I was used to it by that point. The ending scene when they're dancing at the lighthouse, I did find that funny.
And Owen's weird dancing was very charming.
Yeah.
No, that whole bit, the ending there, I thought was very sweet. And you know what? On that note, I think mentioned this at the very beginning. Let's go into it. Does this rom-com work without the mandate?
Yes, I think so. I think you have to replace it with something to cause these conflicts.
I think the only thing you super need to replace is the reason that she needs to put herself out there. I think he has plenty of reason to put himself out there.
Yeah. Just have him be broken up with, or have her want to explore, and then that catches him off guard and causes him to scramble, and then just give her a different reason. And then just have the society be like, sex obsessed if you still want, all the background people going crazy. I don't know, just make a bit out of that. Don't. I feel like it would be fine without that. Just have the thing be, they're both like at an age where you could pull the, I'm getting to that age where I need to be with somebody. They're not old and they don't have to be there, but they're at the age where I feel like they could believably be like, oh, society would think I need to find someone at this age. It's not like they're 20. So they could have pulled that. I don't know. There are things you can do that is not what they did in this movie.
Yeah, especially since that just like to its core doesn't work here in this movie. There has to be like at least like 6 other better options.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just very bizarre. And in a universe like this, you'd think people would be getting married left and right. Like, do they have laws against divorces? Because if they don't, you could just get married and then divorce like the next day, or annul it or something.
A great point.
Like, why did more people not do that? Or do they, and they just never bring it up? Like, there's still a lot of questions that I have.
Yeah, this movie's trying to have a super unique concept to the rom-com, but then still try and act like it's an ordinary rom-com.
Exactly. This would have made for, like, this concept would have made for a great thriller, but it just doesn't work here, and I don't think ultimately it's even needed here. I don't know.
What is that one movie? Hold on.
It's just very bizarre. And kind of like we mentioned earlier, they have the characters at the end of the movie. I called it at the beginning of the movie and probably even beforehand, but I said it out loud to Luke, where I was like, oh, they're definitely not having sex this night. They're going to have the opportunity and they're going to choose not to. And then they're going to date for a year and then have sex. And that's exactly what they did. Boring. Who cares? I don't care for them in a very like gross mandate to be like, well, let's just like make the best out of it. Maybe it's a good thing. Let's just try dating for a year. I don't want it. I don't care. If you chose that without the mandate, sure, awesome, cute, whatever. Not within the mandate, because it's like, oh, maybe it's right. Maybe we do need to date for a year. Maybe
the government does need to regulate our relationship.
It's so stupid. It's not needed. And I don't know. Just a lot of small things. I feel like it'd be a perfect movie to just go kind of scene by scene and be like, and here's the things wrong with this scene.
It could be cinema scored to death.
Yeah. Anyway, what movie were you looking at?
It reminds me a little bit like how this dystopian quality actually should be handled. Reminds me a little bit about Equals. Kristen Stewart and the new Lex Luthor.
Oh, Nicholas Hoult?
Nicholas Hoult. It's like a society where people are like programmed to not have emotions and they still like fall in love, and it's like, oh well, if they find out we're gonna get shipped away, that kind of thing. I don't know. Jumps to mind. But
no, this would have been a great dystopian concept. And then you could have had a romantic storyline. It just the genre needs to not be rom-com.
It kind of gives like kind of Hunger Games-y, where like there's romance in that.
Yeah, exactly. But the concept is still very much at its core dystopian.
Yeah.
And the Hunger Games acknowledges that every movie.
It's
I don't know.
I fear from the drawing board this movie was doomed.
It felt like one of those in the studio that they'd like make fun of.
Yes, it does.
But you know, we're following with the theme of this year, where for the most part, you know, people are, you know, I can't imagine that this is making a lot of money. So people are, you know, speaking out that this concept was not good and they didn't want to see it, and I don't blame them.
Indeed.
So
Last thing maybe to talk on this that I want to throw out about this movie before maybe we move on.
sure.
Our director, Will Gluck, he is going out right now in a big way saying that Gen Z audiences don't want sex in their movies. And I feel like I've heard this
Gen Z of all
3 times
generations.
like
Oh,
this
wow.
year alone.
No, I love that Indy Navarrete. How do you say her name?
Navarrete, I believe.
The girl who played Nikki in Obsession, she was saying, like, you know, how do you feel about Gen Z showing up for Obsession? She's like, Gen Z has always loved movies. They just want to show up for good quality movies that aren't just like spoon fed to them. I don't remember. I'm putting a lot of words in her mouth. This is probably not at all what she said, but she was basic. Well, okay, but I'm being honest about it. I don't remember what she said, but she was basically saying, like, yeah, this is proving like Gen Z will show up for movies that they think are good. We just need to make more good movies. And she's not the first to say this, but I do appreciate anytime anyone says this, where it's like, no, the problem has never been that they don't want to show up for movies. It's been movie theaters are so expensive, and people, especially of this generation, don't get paid what they deserve or a livable wage or anything where they can afford those prices. And then so they only want to go to movies they think are worth it. And a lot of times those end up being, you know, word of mouth movies, like, you need to go see this movie. Or something like Spider-Man, where like you need to see it if you're a part of society, basically, you know, like that's when they're gonna show up, and they do, for the most part. So I don't know.
No, and I think in a similar vein here, I think how Hollywood has historically done sex scenes is phased out, but like, I think look at Heated Rivalry. Well done sex scenes are still in.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely. I mean, even like off campus, like a lot of Gen Z is what revitalized book talk. So a lot of bookstores didn't shut down during COVID because in large of Gen Z and book talk as a whole. And a lot of those books that they're reading have a lot of sex scenes in it. And so it's like, it's bizarre to even pretend that that's ever been the problem. And again, you're putting the blame on one generation, which is just really gross. It's like, just say you don't understand Gen Z. You tried to market your movie to them and it failed. And they didn't like it. Like, just say you failed. Or don't. Just, like, don't say anything.
Yeah.
No one's forcing you to say anything. Just say no comment if someone asks you a question you don't want to answer. So, I don't know.
No.
Pretty silly.
And then that compared to, and I think people have rightfully been calling out that that's a pretty, like, objectively incorrect statement.
Yeah. In many ways.
Let me find.
Well, also that reminds me, so this director also did the movie Anyone But You with Glenn Powell and Sydney Sweeney, which people also had a lot of things to say, but I think overall general consensus is more positive than this movie. I liked that movie more than this movie. It's not by any means in my top 10 of rom-coms, but like, it's definitely better than this one. But then they have each of those characters show up in a way in this movie. They have on a screen. They have Glenn Powell's face in one scene, and I guess as the guy that she's supposed to have sex with again, and you're supposed to make me believe she didn't have sex with him. Okay, girl. Anyways, and then they have Sydney Sweeney's picture pull up on basically like a Tinder app, whatever, their version of it, and it has her name. It's not just her face. And it's the same director, so we know it's supposed to be them. But it shows up B, and that's her name in that movie. And then they have a Much Ado About Nothing line drop. I won't even say reference, because it's not really it's just, they just say the Much Ado About Nothing.
Mm-hmm.
they try to say that he tries to say it. Owen says it in like a, yeah, this is a saying that people say, and I'm like, no, you're like the first person I've ever heard say that in my life. Anyways, but they have her show up, and I'm like, it's very funny to think. Obviously, now they're both single. It's funny to think about if they were together until the mandate, and they're like, oh, we can't have sex. Like, we're not gonna be together. It's just a funny little headcanon of mine now. That might also be canon. I don't really know.
Who's to say?
Who's to say why? We just know
Who's
they're
to
not
say?
together.
But I don't want to ask.
And then I guess it's in the same universe, but obviously that means that was set like before the mandate. It's just bizarre. Anyway,
The lore goes crazy.
yeah, actually.
Ugh. But I wanted to look up this director's name, Greg Araki, who is the director of I Want Your Sex, which is also in big talk for kind of the opposite kind of statement, where he said a big driver behind this movie for him is that he thinks that young people should be more open about sexuality and, you know, embrace it more and to not have regrets about it. And stemming as a gay man who grew up during the AIDS epidemic, I think there's a lot of value to that, and certainly it combats anything I think our director is talking about with One Night Only.
It's a very bizarre and incorrect statement.
Yeah, and I really hate to see it's the internet truly making there be no winners, because both directors coming out with those statements are getting flack for it. And it's like, I don't know, man. People are crazy.
One of these statements is untrue, and one of these statements is at least like trying to like be kind and like be positive. So
yeah, it's yeah, but especially, I don't know, sexual freedom is a, you know, it's always kind of been a thing since like the 70s, I think, is where the hippie movement first kind of started, and I think we've definitely seen a regression in modern society. So I appreciate the directors who aren't trying to promote bringing us backwards.
Crazy.
But anyways, real quick, did you want to rank the couple of movies that we have seen from Will Gluck?
I have seen and remember 4. On his list, he also has an Annie movie that I'm pretty sure I've seen at some time in my lifetime, and I mean, I always like Annie, but like, who's to say what I thought about this version? No idea. And then I know I've seen the first Peter Rabbit. I don't think I've seen the second one or a movie he has called Fired Up. But those 4, either I haven't seen for sure or couldn't remember to rate them. So I have seen and remember 4, and I believe it goes One Night Only is definitely at the bottom.
Okay, I didn't know what side you were starting on.
The what?
I didn't know if you were starting on the top or the bottom of your list, and I was like, whoa!
Oh, I mean, yeah. And then I believe Friends with Benefits, then Anyone But You, then Easy A. I believe.
Yeah.
Maybe it might be. I think technically Anyone But You is rated half a star higher than Easy A, but I would put Easy A above that.
Yeah,
I
would
just
say
need to rewatch it.
I would agree. Mine would be, and I haven't seen Friends with Benefits, but I would go One Night Only, Anyone But You, Easy A. Ugh,
I haven't
Emma
seen
Stone.
I haven't seen Friends with Benefits in a while either, but that's the vibe of what I'm remembering. So there you go.
And then next up, you wanted us to rank our top 10 rom-coms.
Yes, and rest assured this movie's not in either of our lists. So there you go.
I will say this is maybe the most like abstract list that I've done on this channel. I've not seen a ton of rom-coms. Maybe outside of Hallmark, but those don't.
Dude,
those
you
are very
needed to
separate.
copy my list, and
I looked at it.
Oh, you just haven't seen a lot.
Yeah, I haven't
Okay.
seen a ton of them.
I've seen 51. I have 53 movies on this list, but I haven't seen 2 of them. That would be 500 Days of Summer and then Palm Springs. I went to see both, and I've been told to see both as a rom-com girly. So I've seen a good amount. My top 10, I put Princess Diaries 2, and here's the thing. I have Princess Diaries right below this, but Princess Diary 2 is more of like a rom-com. So I feel like on this list, I would put it I have them rated the same, and so I would love to rewatch them at some point, especially since they're, I believe, making a third one.
As we should. I haven't seen either of them.
This is like when you told me you didn't watch Mamma Mia. This is like, this should not be legal. I can't believe that. Anyways, we're gonna need to watch that at some point. Yes, so I put Princess Diaries 2 above Princess Diaries just simply because it's on this list and it's more of a rom-com and you will love both. Then I have Set It Up. Set It Up is a great modern rom-com. I actually have, I would say, a few of those on this list, which is fun. But it's not perfect. I did a rewatch and I feel like I still stand by my rating. Some people talk about this as if it's 5 stars. I don't personally agree with that, but I love that for them. So then I have You, Me, and Tuscany. This also came out this year and I loved it. We made a video on it. We definitely both loved it more than the general audience. I don't care. I'll stand on it. I think it's a great movie. I'm pretty sure it's still in my top 10 of the year, and it might be for a little bit. But I think it's a great movie. I think it has a lot of chemistry and some good jokes. So then I have Pride and Prejudice, the, I believe, 2005 version. Yes. So good. Have you seen that?
That's with Keira Knightley?
Yeah.
Yes, I have.
So good. Then I have Monte Carlo, and this is like, this has Selena Gomez in it, and then the girl who played Blair from Gossip Girl, and then another girl I know from somewhere. Anyways, this was like a childhood favorite of mine growing up, and it still is. Like, this is probably like a 4.5 movie for me without even looking. I love this movie. It has a lot of nostalgia for me, and so I think that adds a lot to it. But it's also just so fun and romantic, and it has 3, I think, pretty solid storylines. I definitely have my rankings of the 3, but I do ultimately love all 3 of them. And it's very fun. I love that movie. More people should see it. It's an underrated gem. Then I have Mamma Mia, which you have finally seen, thank goodness. Then I have When Harry Met Sally. This is so good. This is one of those that I watched and knew I was going to rewatch within the year, and I did. So I've seen it a couple times now. Then I have number 3, 10 Things I Hate About You, a classic, of course. So charming, so fun. Enemies to Lovers, love that. Number 2, I have Crazy Rich Asians, which is another modern rom-com. This is so good, and people do generally know about this movie and love it. They say it's a great airplane movie, and it is. It's about 2 hours, so good for like most flight times. And it's just so romantic. And then, they get engaged on a plane, so it's like, there you go, it's perfect. And then my number 1 will always be Pretty Woman. I can't imagine ever replacing this because it's, I think, pretty sure within my top 4 Letterboxd. This is also not quite childhood because it's a little too inappropriate for childhood, but probably like middle school. My dad has always loved this movie because he loves Julia Roberts. And so I watched this movie a little too young, but I love this movie and have always loved this movie and love to rewatch it. And it hits every single time. So iconic. And I have walked into the hotel that she stayed at, and it's so beautiful. I have a picture there.
Per?
Yeah. Anyway.
Okay. I will say, I think there's only 3 of these that I watched that I've seen before I left high school. So,
Okay.
in the name of things, most of these are fairly fresh.
Okay.
But at number 10, I have The Half of It, which was on Netflix.
I don't think I have this on my list.
It feels a bit more of a rom-drom, but I do remember it also being pretty damn funny.
No, yes, and it has the guy who then is now the Cyclops in Percy Jackson. I forgot his name. Tyson. He's so cute.
At number
love that.
9, I have No Hard Feelings. I love that one.
I guess I don't count that as a rom-com because of their age gap. I count it more as a comedy. But it is
Sure.
it's very charming. I will give you that.
I have 10 Things I Hate About You. Classic.
Cool.
Number 7, I have Pretty Woman. Those are good. I could see it going up on a rewatch. I just have watched it once. Number 6, I have 13 going on 30. Number 5, I have Mamma Mia. Number 4, I have Singing in the Rain, which I would think is a...
I mean, it has romance in it.
And comedy.
It's just, yeah, but it's like a musical. I don't know. It's hard to put
And Mamma
stuff
Mia
on this
isn't?
list.
I'm sorry. What are we talking about?
Listen, but the romance is like dripping in that movie. Ugh, so good. And Singing in the Rain, it's just like, oh yeah, okay.
Well, in that same vein, number 3, I have Hairspray.
Okay.
And number 2, I have Crazy Rich Asians.
Mm-hmm.
And then at number 1, I have Enchanted. Your
I don't
Honor,
think that's on
a
my
relationship is made of magic and hard work. Yes, please, Amy Adams. Say it again for the people in the back.
list. So cute. I love that movie. So cute. Yeah, there's a lot of great romance films on there. Let us know what we left off of our list. They might be on it, just not in our top 10, or we might...
Maybe we got to do some more homework. I
Yeah.
definitely have to do some more
Or-
homework.
Yeah, you do. I've seen a lot of them, but some of them I may not personally count as romance. I don't know, but yeah. And some of those I actually do. I kept saying rom-com. This is labeled just romance films for me. So some of these are not rom-com, they're rom-dram, but they're still on here. So anyways, yeah.
Alrighty, moving on to the reception of One Night Only. Do you want to predict currently where the Rotten Tomato critic and audience score is?
I know last I saw the critic was down to 50, so I guess I'll guess 50. It was 55 when I first saw it, and then it went down to 50, so I'll guess that. And then audience, I don't think will be like crazy higher. Like I don't think it'll be in the 90s or anything. I will say maybe like 75. I do think they'll be kinder, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was lower than that. I would be a little surprised if it was higher than that. Yeah.
Critic is currently at 48%. Audience is at 73%.
Ooh,
So
that's
pretty close.
Yeah.
And then the cinema score is out. Do you want to guess that?
Oh, if it's usually based off audience reaction, I would say like a B minus.
It's a B plus.
That's pretty high, actually.
Indeed.
Interesting.
We have, I think it's currently still just the Thursday number, but currently at the box office, and it's only domestic so far, is 2.8 million.
What was the budget for this film?
25 million.
Interesting. I mean, I definitely don't think it's going to make back its budget, especially since it's not like it's going to get word of mouth. Anyone who wanted to see this movie will see it this weekend, most likely. But yeah, definitely not good, but not surprising. It didn't make a lot.
Where do you think it will end?
It's hard with just Thursday numbers. Did you refresh?
I did.
Yes, it did. Yeah, it's about that time where it's like about to refresh, but I guess it hasn't yet. I don't know.
Let me look up where Yumi and Tuscany ended.
Maybe I could guess like 15 million, maybe 20 million. I don't know if that's crazy.
Okay. 15 million.
I'll say 15 million.
I'm going to do 12 million.
And that's fair.
I
I don't know.
think
It just.
Yumi and Tuscany had a lot more going for it, and it went to 22 million by its end.
Oh.
I think
Nice.
this was advertised a lot less, and its word of mouth is a lot worse.
Yeah, for sure.
So I'm going 12. I'm going about half that.
Fair enough.
Lastly, we have our draft update. We mentioned it a little earlier, but at the beginning of the summer movie season, both of us picked a list of 8 different movies that we would gain points from based off of how they perform at the box office and their reception. One Night Only was the last movie on either of our list, and this was your last pick of this season's draft. And it has given you 50 points.
50.
Yes.
Definitely not as bad as my Smurf one. I think
No.
that was like 26 or something. So,
So,
yeah, I was right. This was not my worst pick, even if it's still not great.
the right now it's your second lowest on this list.
Yeah.
Power Ballad is the only one underneath it.
Yeah, because it didn't get a cinema score.
So,
And this got One Night Only got a higher cinema score than I would have thought. That's crazy.
for real. So, doing a quick recap through all of these. Your list, you had Spider-Man Brand New Day with 92 points. The Odyssey, also with 92 points. Mandalorian and Grogu with 65 points. Disclosure Day with 59 points. The Backrooms with 62 points. Obsession with 76 points. Power Ballad with 46 points. And One Night Only with 50 points. That gives you 543 points.
Pretty good.
Yeah,
pretty
that's
good.
crazy good. I actually am curious if that's the highest we've had so far. I'd have to look. But I'm sure it's up there.
Yeah.
My list, I had Toy Story 5, which is at 90. Minions and Monsters, which is at 71. Supergirl, which is at 49. Masters of the Universe, which is at
Lower
57.
than One Night Only is crazy. Sorry.
Leviticus is at 47. Moana is at 55. I Love Boosters is at 58. And Scary Movie 6 is at 39. So I had 3 movies that were lower than One Night Only.
Crazy. Can you do it?
Bananas. But yeah, so
yeah.
we called it on our last episode. I think that was the Spider-Man. No,
Recap.
the recap.
Yeah.
We basically surrendered this to you, but yeah. Oh, and my total is
Surrendered.
466 points. So yes, you have definitely won this season's summer movie draft.
Thank you. I'd like to thank the Academy and Indy Neverett for Obsession, because you
No
low-key
kidding.
carried that for me.
Obsession was really good for you.
And of course Spider-Man, but
Spider-Man and the Odyssey are currently tied.
that's crazy. I mean, Spider-Man will definitely get
Yes.
past that, just box office, but yeah.
Yeah. Bananas.
I would like to thank Christopher Nolan for making a really good movie that the critics couldn't pretend wasn't good, like Interstellar. Anyway.
Indeed. I'm hoping to learn some lessons when we do our next draft pick for the winter season. Stay tuned. We probably will do that in an upcoming recap at some point. And pick some movies. Play along with us. We will, in that episode, give out a list of the different movies that'll be coming out in the winter movie time. And it's a fun time. Please play along. We love it. Okay, I think that is going to wrap up our episode on One Night Only. Like we said, it's currently in theaters, so if you want to judge this yourself, we would love to hear what you thought of the movie. We'd love to hear in the comments below. And until next time, I'm your host, Luke.
And I'm your host, Alicia.
And thank you so much for watching Not So Straight Nerds.
Bye.